Shahid Bhai, as you know, he has written this book. It is available on, I don't know, available on Amazon, both in Canada and the US as well. I already bought my book. He has autographed it. So, and I think it's a wonderful book. So please take a look at it.
Yes, thank you very much. The only problem with an introduction like this is that you have to live up to it. And I'll try. The reason I say that is because anyone who has heard my presentation, they know that I never want to waste time in generalities. Because speech, like art, there's a big debate about art, and people like Atia here, they know art word much better, saying that art is for art's sake or art is for life's sake. Same thing with speeches. Is a speech for the purpose of making a good speech, or there's a purpose behind it? I firmly believe that unless and until what I say relates to you directly, individually, to each one of you, you should feel as if I'm talking about, not in generalities, but about an issue that you are facing in your life. And when you leave this room, you should leave with the satisfaction of knowing that, hey, there was something that I came into the room with. Now I'm leaving it with tools in my hand that can actually help me resolve issues that I'm facing, conflicts that I'm facing. It's impossible for me to go around the room and ask each one of you individually, what is the conflict that you have, what's your problem, what are the issues, but I can do the next best thing. I'm going to make you work. Mr. Hirji has already threatened that if I take more than 15 minutes, he will cut off my supplies. But I will try to keep it within 15 minutes, yet use those 15 minutes as productively as possible, not for what I have to say, but what you have to express, not publicly. So this is how I'm going to make it relevant to each one of you individually. Conflict is a reality. Everybody faces conflict. Somebody who says that they don't have any conflict in their life, frankly, A, I don't believe in that person. B, chances are that they are really, couldn't be more ignorant about their own life than they claim to be. Everyone has some conflict going on in their life. If not, at least they know someone very close to them who has those conflicts. They have these issues in their workplaces. A housewife has conflicts. A kept husband has conflicts. Children and parents have conflict. Workplace, judges, janitors, kitchen help, CEOs, everyone has their conflict in a different way. So what I'm going to ask you is this. Think about a conflict that's going on in your life now. Don't say it to anyone, don't share it with anyone. You have total privacy. I promise you confidentiality. I will not share your conflict with anyone because you're not going to share it with me. You're just thinking about it. Now, I want a show of hands. Has everybody thought of a conflict? If I don't see any hand risen, I'm going to put you on the spot. Because I don't believe in putting people on the spot. But sometime when, despite my request, they don't, then I don't shy away. And by the way, shy, it reminded me of a very ancient joke that I used to have. When I would introduce myself as a newcomer to Canada, I would say, my name is Shahid, shy for short, but not too long. So I'm not going to be shy for too long. I'm going to proceed with that. You have thought about a conflict. Now, conflict is a reality. It happens. The solution you are seeking for that conflict is something that will help you deal with it, that will work for you. So remember that anything in life, it does not work for everybody. There's no solution, no general solution I can offer you that will work for everybody. Each individual is a unique individual. They have to face their situation. What works well? www is not just World Wide Web. It's not an internet expression. www means what works well. So you're in a unique situation. In a unique situation, and I will focus in my 7 C's compass for conflict resolution. I'll try to be very fast, and I promise I'll put myself on fast forward. Because the rest of it, you certainly can, if you attend one of the seminars or read the book, you can certainly help yourself elaborate the thing that I'll allude to. But at least what I will do is get you in touch with how you can use these 7 C's methodologies to deal with your conflict in a way that will give you the best resolution under the circumstances. I have weighed it, I have said it very carefully without making a false promise, because circumstances mean a lot. It does not mean that these 7 C's of conflict resolution will give you your desired result. There's a difference between a desired result and a result that is best for you under the circumstances. If it's better than anything else could have given you, then be my guest, go and use that method. That would be wise for you to use that. But if not, here's a decision-making process that I'll very briefly and very fast talk about that you can actually use. The 7 C's I use in this book are based on one sentiment. And that sentiment, I use sometimes those acronym philosophies. And one of the acronym philosophies is WIMBY. W-I-M-B-I. What does WIMBY mean? WIMBY means the book encourages you to ask yourself a question. What is in my best interest? So once you have that WIMBY figured out, you and nobody else will know what is in your true interest. Because if you are not honest with yourself, then frankly nobody can help you. Nobody can. But particularly when you are in such a comfortable position that you are not admitting it to your adversary, you are not admitting to your lawyer or to a judge or to an arbitrator. You're just telling yourself that, hey, look, this is the situation I am in. This is my WIMBY, what I know, what is in my best interest. Now, how do I go about it? How do I achieve it? And although there is absolutely no time for me to go through the 7 C's in any detail, but I'll just mention them. The first thing you do is C for conciliation. Conciliate with the fact that you have this problem. You're not being embarrassed by talking to somebody else about it. You're only talking to yourself. You're reflecting. Conciliate with what is. Make isness your business. Reconcile with the fact. Don't deceive yourself. Don't be like that pigeon which closes its eyes when it sees a cat, because the cat doesn't go away. The cat is. So conciliate with what is. The second C is for commitment. And I'm going to ask you, without putting you on the spot, did you just check in your own mind about the conflict that you're thinking about? That have you conciliated with the fact that it exists? Now move on to the second C, commitment. Go to your conflict in your head. Go to this filing cabinet. Open the drawer, take out your file and see. Are you really committed? Are you really seeking that resolution? Because don't forget, I'm sure you know some people who thrive on unhappiness. Unless that husband and wife have a fight in the morning, their day is not complete. They have to have that fight. And if that husband or that wife comes to me and says, well, you know, we fight a lot, I'll say, you know something, you really don't want a resolution to it. If I stop your fighting, you'll be so bored that you will want invent something to fight. That's not a serious problem that way. But if you are committed, then the problem is serious. You're committed to resolve it, then tell yourself you're committed. If not, find a way that you get that commitment, and you can find those ways again in the books that you will read. There are the whole chapters about it. You can self-guide on resolving your own conflict. It will be in your hands. You have no idea how much is in your control. If you allow a judge or a lawyer or arbitrator to decide your life, you're cheating yourself. You have that control. This 7 C's tell you how you can actually benefit. I'm not exaggerating when Mr. Shahid said you have solutions in that. Think about the legal fees. Think about all the aggravation that you get. Look at the price that you have to pay for resolving those conflicts, which you can do yourself, free of charge, but just familiarizing yourself what those 7 C's are. And being very conscious of the time, I'll just very quickly go to the remaining 5 C's. The 3rd C is compassion. I'm in a mosque. I'm an Islamic center. I'm among people who are devout. If you will not have compassion, who will? So I want to persuade you. Look at the conflict now that you are having. Think about it. Go back to that filing cabinet. Are you really using that compassion for the other person? Or are you bent upon defeating them or teaching them a lesson? If you want to show compassion, chances are the rest of the C's won't even matter. You will automatically deal with that person in such a way that they will come to you offering the resolution because they see some vibes in you that attract them. That is compassion. And if anybody knows compassion, I can guarantee it is this audience in this premises who should know that. The 4th C is communication. Is the message given the same as message received? Or are you kind of playing games again? Saying one thing, meaning something else, playing word games, saying things which you know the depth of your heart is not true, but you want the other person to believe that. Communicate, first of all, think about your conflict that you're thinking about. In your own mind, communicate with yourself. And the book just talks about what you can do. You don't seek anybody's help. You don't seek anyone's permission, no one's affirmation, except your own, because remember one thing, no one can take away your right to value yourself as much positively as you want to. You can respect yourself as much as you think you're worthy of. No one can take away that right. Same thing with communication. What you tell yourself, you're free to do that, but be clear in your head. Clarity in this day and age of fake news, you have heard that phrase from our favorite president, fake news. In this day and age of fake news, clarity is power. But first of all, be clear in your own mind. After communication, the 5th C is concentration. I told you that will make you work. The book makes you work. You cannot read that book as a leisurely reading just overnight and then sleep. Maybe the first time, but the next time the book will hold you by the hand, it will take you step by step. It will ask you what is your conflict. It will ask you what you're prepared to do. Have you recognized the problem? Are you prepared to take those steps? It will really be almost like a living person sitting by you, because that living person will be you. You will be the one, if you're serious about your conflict. If you're not, then there's no need to go through that exercise. So concentrate like a laser beam on resolving your conflict. Because if you will not, nobody else is that interested in. You are the one who is interested. And if you have any self-interest, that will be thing, if you have any self-interest, you will put that little time in reading those chapters, saying, okay, what is it that I can do? Spend some time on it. It may take an hour, 2 hours, take a day, but eventually you will reach a stage where you can say, yes, this is what I can actually do. You will arrive at a decision. And that book, that chapter, that concentration advice will take you where you can say, yes, I have arrived at that, now I can take the next step. The sixth C in that is compromise. Compromise is go back to your conflict. I'm asking you to think back what the conflict you're thinking about. Are you really thinking about the other person as well? Are you thinking of getting 100% of what you have? Because if you are thinking of getting it all, I can tell you now, this will get to nothing. The moment you think that I'm going to get all from this person, my adversary, my enemy, that enemy is not an enemy. The slogan of this book is, make your adversaries your partners. They can be your partners. This book actually describes a whole process where the same person who was your enemy, you can create an environment where that person becomes your partner. Now two of you are one party. And the conflict is the second party. Now your conflict is not with each other. Your partner, your enemy is that problem. And you're both attacking it. So convert that adversary into a partner. That's compromise. Walk in their vocations. We are standing on Aboriginal indigenous soil of Mississaugas of Credit River. And we should acknowledge that as a matter of fact. But look at all the indigenous people's conflicts. You think people had the power and authority but interested in resolving them? They were not. They were just playing games. They have a saying. Indigenous people have a saying. Walk a mile in my moccasins. So unless in your conflict you're prepared to look at it from the point of view of the other person, you will never appreciate it. You will never be able to appeal to them that, hey, look, this is how you can actually resolve this issue. And once you become partners, then the issue will be resolved in a way that will be the best resolution under the circumstances. And the last C, and now I know that my 13 and a half minutes are almost over. The last C is culmination. For God's sake, get over with it. Once it is resolved, once it is settled, don't hash it over and over and over again. Get over with it. Grow up. Move on. Don't let a conflict, it doesn't matter how serious it is. It's your life. You're only one life. And I can tell you this, again, standing in a mosque, I can use that expression. There are some things which are a sin. There are some things which are a crime. But there's one thing that is a sin and a crime. And that is when you squander your life, when you waste this moment thinking fruitlessly about something that's nagging on you, and there is something you can do, and then you don't do it. There's no bigger injustice you can do to yourself. So with that, I'll cut it short. There was a lot I wanted to say, but with that I'll say that please, if nothing else, be on your side. and deal with the conflict that you have thought. Thank you very much.